beyond Australia's sun-drenched façade, whispers of a darker past stir in forgotten corners. Have you ever felt an unseen presence, a chilling touch in the stillness of night, or heard a mournful echo on the wind tonight? We journey into the very heart of the continent's most profound sorrows, where history's tragic grip refuses to loosen and despair clings to every decaying brick. Prepare yourself, for you are about to witness the enduring legacy of Australia's most haunted places. 15. Smoky Cape Lighthouse, Southwest Rocks, New South Wales, perched precariously on a craggy cliff, where the wild Tasman sea ceaselessly batters the shore. Smoky Cape Lighthouse stands as a lonely sentinel, its beam sweeping across an infinite darkness. But listen closely, and the ocean's roar seems to carry more than just spray. It brings with it the mournful whispers of souls lost to the unforgiving waters, a lament woven into the very fabric of the wind. For over a century's heart, this isolated beacon has guided ships through treacherous currents, yet it has also borne witness to profound tragedy. Lightkeepers, isolated for months on end, some driven to the brink of madness by the relentless solitude, are said to linger here. Their spectral figures are glimpsed in the winding stairwells, the heavy scent of old tobacco smoke sometimes clinging to the air in rooms long vacant. Visitors report sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature, the chilling sensation of an unseen hand brushing against their skin, or the faint, distant clang of a foghorn when no fog is present. The very stones of the lighthouse seem to hum with a silent, sorrowful energy, a testament to the countless ships that met their doom on the jagged reefs below. Each crash of a wave against the base of the cliff feels like a ghostly heartbeat, echoing the final moments of sailors lost to the deep, some whisper of shadowy forms moving within the lantern room after hours, a phantom presence tending to a light that never truly dies. As the lighthouse beam cuts its path through the inky blackness, consider this: is it merely a guide for the living, or a perpetual vigil for the dead? And as the sea continues its ancient song, imagine the final act unfolding beneath the grand proscenium of a theater, where the applause has long faded, but the star of the show refuses to leave the stage. 14. Princess Theatre, Melbourne, Victoria. The velvet curtains, once drawn by eager hands to reveal worlds of wonder, now hang heavy and still in the hushed embrace of the Princess Theatre. Here, beneath the faded gold leaf and the silent, empty seats, a chilling drama unfolds not upon the stage, but within the very bones of the building itself. It is a stillness so profound, it feels less like an absence of sound and more like a held breath, waiting for an encore that has been playing for over a century, an unseen audience listening intently, for it was here, on the fateful night of March 3rd, 1888, that the famed baritone Frederick Baker, known to all as Federici, collapsed backstage immediately after taking his final bow as Mephistopheles in Faust. Though his performance was concluded, his presence, it seems, was not. Witnesses swore they saw him take the curtain call just moments after his death, a spectral farewell that sent shivers through the cast. Since then, his spirit, an eternal patron of the arts, has never truly departed this grand edifice. A distinct biting chill often permeates the dressing rooms and the backstage labyrinth. An inexplicable draft rustles the stage curtains when no window is open, and phantom footsteps echo with a deliberate, heavy rhythm from the deserted fly tower above. Many have reported glimpsing his translucent form in the royal box, a spectral observer forever captivated by the performances below, his gaze a cold weight upon any who dare glance his way. Such is his lingering attachment that, To this day, a seat in the dress circle is meticulously left empty for him on opening nights, a macabre courtesy to the theater's most enduring and enigmatic star. The very air thins in his preferred haunts, carrying the faint, sweet scent of old theatrical grease paint, an aroma that hints at a performance that never truly ends. So, as the final applause dies down and the house lights dim, know that you may not be entirely alone in the lingering shadows, for in the hushed theater, Federici watches still, a ghostly critic eternally ready for his next ghostly bow, forever bound to the stage he loved. And from the echoing silence of a gilded cage, where the spirit of performance refuses to fade, our path now turns towards a seemingly innocuous place, where the sweet scent of confectionery struggles to conceal a far more bitter history. And the laughter of children has long since turned to spectral whispers. SWU 13, Junee Licorice and Chocolate Factory. Junee, New South Wales. From the hushed whispers of an empty theater, where a spectral performer refuses to yield the stage, our path now winds to a place where sweetness promises solace, yet delivers only dread. For within the quaint façade of the Junee Licorice and Chocolate Factory, a ghostly hum resonates not from machinery, but from a past steeped in sorrow. Here, the cloying aroma of melted chocolate and licorice hangs heavy, yet it struggles to mask a more primal scent of forgotten dust and ancient wood, a testament to the building's darker, more tragic infancy. This charming edifice, with its inviting scent of sugary delight, began its life not as a confectionery dream, but as a children's orphanage, a home, perhaps only in name. Within these very walls, countless young lives flickered and faded, their innocence stolen by hardship, illness, and the chilling indifference of a bygone era. Now, their playful yet sorrowful spirits are said to linger, trapped in an endless echo of their brief, often painful existences. Visitors report inexplicable drops in temperature, the sensation of small, unseen hands tugging at their clothes, or the faint, almost imperceptible sound of children's giggles and cries from empty rooms. The machinery, now vibrant with life, often seems to possess a will of its own, switching on and off, its rhythmic clatter sometimes accompanied by a metallic shriek that feels less like a malfunction and more like a tortured cry. These restless souls, long after the orphanage closed and the sweets began to be made, seem to eternally search for the comfort they were denied in life, their ethereal whispers woven into the very fabric of the building. So, as you taste the sugary delights of Junee, listen closely. Beyond the cheerful hum of production, can you hear the faint, sorrowful sighs of children long gone, their tiny spirits forever bound to this place, still seeking the solace they never found? The sweetness here is a fragile veil, barely concealing the bitter echoes of a past that refuses to be forgotten. And as these spectral whispers fade, we are drawn deeper into the earth, to a place where absolute darkness holds secrets far older and colder than any candy factory. 12. Picton Ghost Tunnel, Picton, New South Wales deep underground, where the very air thickens with a damp. Ancient chill and the oppressive darkness devours all light, lies a passage haunted by whispers. The Picton Ghost Tunnel, a relic of a forgotten railway, is more than just an abandoned route. It is a grave carved into the earth, a place where time itself seems to curdle. From its very inception, this subterranean artery whispered of misfortune, claiming the lives of laborers crushed in its unforgiving embrace. But it is the chilling legend of Emily Bollard that truly seals its reputation. Emily, a solitary figure, was reportedly struck and killed by a train within these very depths, and her spirit is said to roam, a spectral form cloaked in eternal twilight, her grief etched into the cold, damp stone. To step inside is to be consumed by a bone-deep cold, a sensation not merely of temperature but of sheer, unadulterated dread that clings to your very soul. Footsteps echo, not your own, but from some unseen presence pacing the length of the tunnel, a phantom patrol, the air, heavy with the scent of wet earth, stagnant water, and despair, seems to press in on you, stealing your breath, reminding you of the thousands who have ventured here and felt the same oppressive weight. Sometimes, a faint, flickering light appears far off, a deceptive beacon in the abyss, drawing you deeper into its grasp with a promise of escape, only to vanish without a trace. Then, just as suddenly, it extinguishes, plunging you into an even deeper, more terrifying blackness, forcing you to question what, or who, you truly saw. The silence that follows is often more terrifying than any scream, for it implies a watchful presence, a lingering entity that has chosen you as its next confidant in the darkness. They say that to venture too far into its suffocating depths is to risk becoming part of its enduring darkness, a shadow among the shadows, perpetually searching for an exit that may no longer exist. And as the cold breath of the tunnel recedes, our journey leads us from one form of subterranean confinement to another, to formidable walls built not for passage, but for permanent, desperate imprisonment, where the very stones hum with centuries of despair. 11. Boggo Road Gaol, Brisbane, Queensland. The air itself seems to thicken with ancient despair as one approaches the towering and grey walls of Boggo Road Gaol, a formidable edifice that has absorbed centuries of human misery, built not merely to contain, but to crush. This prison was a crucible of absolute despair, where the desperate cries of its inmates were swallowed by stone, replaced only by the chilling clang of iron doors. Known for its brutal regimes and the suffocating decay of hope it fostered, its corridors witnessed not only the slow torture of confinement but also violent riots that tore through its cell blocks like a fever, staining the very foundations with blood and fury. Each brick whispers tales of agonizing solitude, of minds unraveling in the dim light of a single barred window. Countless souls met their bitter end within these unforgiving confines, many by the hangman's noose, their last gasps echoing eternally in the cold, damp architecture. These are not merely historical records, they are felt, the pervasive scent of mildew, rusted iron, and the phantom aroma of fear clings to every stone, refusing to dissipate with time. From the empty cells, faint, disembodied whispers drift, carrying fragments of untold pain and unfulfilled pleas for mercy, sometimes coalescing into a distinct, desperate sigh just behind your ear. A sudden, profound cold can descend even on the warmest day, biting at the skin, a spectral touch that makes the hairs on your neck rise, a stark reminder that you are not alone. One feels an undeniable, unnerving sensation of being watched from the shadowy corners, as if the condemned are still serving their eternal sentences, forever trapped within their cold, stone tombs, their eyes following your every move. Can true freedom ever be found behind the iron bars of Boggo Road? Or are some destinies forever sealed within its cruel embrace, echoing endlessly into the night? And as we leave this realm of perpetual sorrow, where every shadow holds a story, we are drawn to another edifice of grand design, yet equally burdened by the specters of past occupants, a place where even in slumber, one is never truly alone. 10. The Russell Hotel, Sydney, New South Wales. The Russell Hotel, nestled amidst the cobbled laneways of Sydney's historic Rocks district, presents an alluring facade of colonial grandeur. Yet, beneath its charming, time-worn elegance, a palpable chill often descends, as if the very stones are burdened by stories they struggle to contain. It is a place where the grandeur of the past collides with a restless spectral presence, where history is not just remembered, but felt. Whispers abound of its early days as a makeshift hospital during the First Fleet era, and later as a bustling haven for sailors, adventurers, and those seeking solace in the shadows. The most enduring tale clings to Room 8, a chamber said to be perpetually occupied by the restless spirit of a murdered sailor. Guests have reported a sudden, sharp drop in temperature, the rustle of unseen curtains, and the distinct chilling sensation of a presence lingering at the foot of their beds, watching them sleep. Others have awoken to the faint strains of an old sea shanty or the gentle caress of an invisible hand, a touch so tender yet terrifyingly real. Throughout its ancient halls, the lingering scent of stale pipe tobacco from another century occasionally drifts, accompanied by the faint rhythmic creaking of floorboards from empty rooms above. These are not merely echoes. They are the persistent echoes of lives abruptly ended, of lonely nights and forgotten dreams, all trapped within the hotel's enduring architecture. The shadows here seem to stretch longer, deeper, and the silence often feels heavy, pregnant with untold secrets. Even as dawn spills golden light into the narrow streets of the Rocks, a sense of profound unease can cling to those who have spent a night within the Russell's walls. For in its antique rooms, you are never truly alone. The unseen guests eternally bound to their earthly abode. And as we leave the maritime specters of Sydney, a journey northwards calls to an even older establishment, Australia's most ancient hotel, where a multitude of darker tragedies await. 9. The North Kapunda Hotel. Kapunda, South Australia, within the weathered stone walls of the North Kapunda Hotel, South Australia's oldest surviving licensed establishment, lies a history far grander and far darker than its stately facade suggests. Stepping inside is like walking into a forgotten dream, where the very air is thick with anticipation and the whispers of tragedies past. This isn't merely a hotel, it is a sentinel, holding vigil over countless lives and their abrupt, often brutal endings. Its long corridors and opulent rooms have borne witness to a chilling litany of untimely deaths, from miners succumbing to harsh conditions, to documented murders and unexplained suicides. The hotel has become a crucible for despair. Guests and staff alike recount encounters with an array of restless spirits. Shrill, disembodied laughter echoes from empty rooms in the dead of night, while lights flicker erratically in the hallways, as if an unseen hand toys with the very fabric of reality. Visitors have reported a distinct, cold pressure, the sensation of being gently pushed or touched, only to turn and find themselves utterly alone. The silence that follows more terrifying than any scream. Some have seen fleeting shadows dance in the peripheral vision, or felt an inexplicable dread descend upon them in specific corners, where the fabric of time seems thinner, revealing glimpses of pain long past. The scent of old tobacco and damp earth often permeates the air, a phantom reminder of the men who once sought solace here, their lives cut short, their spirits forever bound. At North Kapunda, the night is not merely a period of darkness, it is an extended vigil, a slow-burning descent into the unknown. And as the hours crawl by, you may find yourself questioning if you truly are alone in your room, or if a spectral companion is waiting, just beyond the reach of your sight. From these ancient halls of personal sorrow, our journey takes us to a different kind of historical repository, one that archives not just stories, but the very echoes of suffering etched into the cold stone of an old anatomical institute. 8. National Film and Sound Archive, former Anatomy Institute. Canberra, Australian Capital Territory, as you step within the austere, imposing structure that now houses the National Film and Sound Archive. A peculiar silence descends, not the calm quiet of history preserved, but a heavy, almost expectant stillness. Beneath the veneer of flickering cinematic memories and archived voices, this building holds a far more chilling narrative. For decades, it served as Canberra's Institute of Anatomy, a place where the human form was laid bare, dissected, and studied, often long after life had ceased. Imagine the hushed laboratories, the stark tables, the cold steel, and the endless parade of bodies, each with a story silenced, yet perhaps never truly forgotten. The air here often carries a subtle, inexplicable scent, a faint metallic tang reminiscent of antiseptic mixed with the mustiness of aged paper, a ghostly olfactory echo from its previous grim purpose. Visitors and staff have reported fleeting shadows that dance just beyond the reach of direct sight in the dimly lit corridors, and the unnerving sensation of being watched from the empty spaces between towering shelves of film reels. One might hear what sounds like distant footsteps, deliberate and slow, echoing from deep within the building's core, like a nurse on a phantom round or a pathologist returning to their ghastly work. There are whispers, too, faint and fragmented, that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves, as if the souls once housed within these confines are still searching for an answer, a recognition denied in their final moments. The archives preserve images and sounds, but this place, and with its history of dissection and quiet suffering, preserves something far more profound and unsettling. Are these just the remnants of morbid imagination? Or are they the indelible imprints of those whose bodies were once cold specimens within these very rooms? Their spirits forever bound to the scientific curiosity that held them captive. Their silent pleas linger, leading us now to another monument to human confinement and despair, where thousands met a far more public, yet equally tragic, end. 7. Beechworth Lunatic Asylum, Mayday Hills. Beechworth, Victoria. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long and skeletal shadows across the sprawling, decaying grounds of Beechworth Lunatic Asylum, an oppressive chill descends, clinging to every brick and every twisted branch. Here, within the Mayday Hills, the air itself seems to weep, heavy with the echoes of 10,000 souls trapped in a perpetual twilight of despair and madness. This was a place designed to contain the broken, but in doing so, it became broken itself, a monumental testament to human suffering. Step inside, and the vast, empty corridors stretch before you like a labyrinth of sorrow, each turn promising not an escape, but a deeper plunge into the past. Over 13,000 patients died within these walls over its 128-year operation, their last moments often filled with terror, neglect, or the crude ministrations of an archaic era. The lingering presence of these tormented spirits is palpable. Visitors report sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature, the faint scent of old medicine and decay, and the chilling sensation of unseen hands brushing against their skin. A woman in white, believed to be a former nurse, is often seen gliding through the wards, her silent vigil unbroken. From the former secure rooms, a faint, disembodied laugh or a mournful sob can sometimes be heard, a stark reminder of the tormented minds that once resided there. Their pleas for release echoing through the decades. Beechworth is not merely a collection of haunting tales, it is a living monument to raw, unadulterated pain. The silence here is a deception, for beneath it, the voices of the lost whisper incessantly. A chorus of agony demanding to be heard. To walk these halls is to walk among ghosts. To feel the weight of countless shattered lives pressing in from every angle. And as you try to shake off the oppressive despair, another place of containment, equally drenched in human tragedy, awaits. An island of isolation where the fear of disease was as potent as the fear of death itself. 6. Q Station Quarantine Station, Manly, New South Wales. Where the turbulent waters of Sydney Harbour meet the vast Tasman Sea, a different kind of storm raged within the walls of Q Station. Here, on this isolated peninsula, thousands sought refuge from the unseen enemy of disease, only to find themselves trapped between a terrifying future and a past that refused to let go. The very air around these weathered sandstone buildings, once saturated with the fear of cholera, smallpox, and Spanish flu, now hums with the residual despair of those who met their end far from home, their final breaths exhaled into the indifferent ocean breeze. Beneath the relentless gaze of the Lighthouse, the quarantine station was a purgatory for the sick and the dying, a place where families were torn apart by invisible contagions. Over 500 souls, from terrified immigrants to dedicated nurses, perished here, their unmarked graves scattered across the desolate hillsides. Within the cramped, desolate dormitories, visitors report an overwhelming sense of suffocation, the lingering scent of antiseptic and decay, and the chilling echoes of phantom coughs and agonized gasps. Some speak of seeing the spectral figures of children peering from windows, or hearing the mournful cries of a woman searching for her lost family, her desperation woven into the fabric of the old hospital wards. One might feel a sudden, icy touch on the arm, a fleeting whisper in the ear, as if a forgotten patient seeks one last human connection. Q Station is a stark testament to humanity's struggle against the unknown, a place where the barrier between worlds feels impossibly thin. The isolation was absolute, the despair profound, and the spirits of the abandoned are said to still wait, forever yearning for a ship that will never arrive to take them home. Yet, this confinement was but a prelude to a harsher form of human suffering, one enacted behind thick stone walls where hope itself was a crime, and every shadow held a memory of violence. 5. Fremantle Prison, Fremantle, Western Australia. The colossal stone behemoth of Fremantle Prison stands as a testament to human cruelty and the enduring legacy of despair. Its massive walls, weathered by time and stained with forgotten tears, guard countless tales of crime, punishment, and the echoing final breaths of those condemned within its unforgiving embrace. Enter, and the air immediately thickens with a palpable sense of oppression, as if the very stone breathes the sorrow of its past inhabitants. For over a century, this foreboding fortress incarcerated the most dangerous criminals of Western Australia, a crucible where brutality was both policy and everyday reality. The chilling screams of men enduring flogging still reverberate through the narrow, suffocating cells, mingling with the phantom clanging of heavy iron gates. Here, where over 40 souls were sent to the gallows, the spirits of the executed are said to linger, restless and eternally trapped, Visitors often report an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia, a suffocating weight that presses down, as if the very air remembers the countless acts of violence and the utter hopelessness of those imprisoned. Guards have recounted inexplicable cold spots, the disembodied whispers of names called from empty corridors, and the fleeting shadow of figures darting between cell blocks. Perhaps a rebellious prisoner still defying authority, or a desperate soul forever seeking an escape that never came. The lingering scent of damp stone and something vaguely metallic, perhaps rust, perhaps blood, clings to the air, refusing to dissipate. Can one truly walk free from the spectral grip of Fremantle? Or does a part of your soul remain entangled with the condemned, forever listening to the low, mournful hum of the past? Yet, the echoes of injustice and violent ends are not unique to these western shores. Another formidable jail, far to the east, holds an even bloodier tally, where the hangman's noose was a constant, grim silhouette against the sky. 4. Old Melbourne Jail, Melbourne. Victoria through the heavy, rusting iron gate, a threshold to a world of absolute punishment and tragic ends. One steps into the spectral embrace of Old Melbourne Jail, its formidable bluestone walls, scarred by time and etched with countless last moments, stand as a grim monument to a macabre history where justice was often a brutal, swift hand. The air within is a heavy shroud, thick with the despair of over 130 souls who met their end upon its gallows, their final, gasping breaths forever clinging to the cold stone. This notorious fortress, a veritable labyrinth of stone and shadow, was home to some of Australia's most infamous figures, including the legendary bushranger Ned Kelly. It is said that his defiant spirit, along with those of the countless others hanged there, still roams the dim corridors and cramped cells. Visitors frequently recount the chilling sensation of unseen eyes watching them from the darkness of empty cell blocks. A profound feeling of being utterly alone yet overwhelmingly observed. The phantom echoes of heavy footsteps, perhaps a long-dead guard on his rounds, reverberate through the silence, often followed by faint, heart-wrenching sobs that seem to rise from the very foundations of the prison. A sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature, a spectral brush against the skin, or the distinct clanking of invisible chains are not uncommon occurrences, each a chilling testament to the lingering agony of those who perished within these unforgiving confines. The jail, it is whispered, never truly releases its prisoners. And as you stand beneath the gallows, where so many lives were extinguished, can you truly deny the sudden, phantom tightening around your neck? A ghostly reminder of the ultimate confinement that awaits those who dare to disturb the slumber of the condemned. Yet, the specter of institutional suffering extends beyond mere incarceration, where despair and madness intertwined in a different kind of prison, one built not just of stone, but of shattered minds. 3. Port Arthur Historic Site, Port Arthur, Tasmania. On the rugged Tasmanian peninsula, where emerald hills meet sapphire waters, and stands Port Arthur Historic Site, a testament to breathtaking natural beauty and a past so profoundly brutal it continues to bleed into the present. Here, the very air hums with the phantom sighs of thousands of exiled souls, their silent screams trapped between the tranquil bays and the towering bluestone walls. This isolated penal settlement, once a hell on earth for Britain's most hardened and desperate convicts, saw unimaginable suffering, relentless labor esquomo, and cruel punishments that sought to break not just the body, but the very spirit. The ruins whisper tales of deprivation and despair, of men driven to madness by isolation and brutality. Their only companions the relentless wind and the crushing weight of their fate. Visitors often report a profound, inexplicable sadness that settles upon them. A cold dread that permeates the picturesque landscape. A sudden gust of wind, carrying the faint scent of salt and decay, might seem to carry with it the mournful clanking of unseen chains, or the desperate, hushed prayers of those long gone. In the crumbling church, faint hymns are sometimes heard, and in the solitary confinement cells, a chilling silence amplifies the sense of utter despair, as if the anguish of those imprisoned there still clings to the stone. Even the relatively recent tragedy of 1996, an act of modern horror, has layered new specters of grief upon this already saturated ground. As twilight descends and the shadows lengthen across these hallowed grounds, one cannot help but wonder, does the ethereal beauty of Port Arthur truly conceal centuries of agonizing torment? Or does it merely amplify the tragic symphony of forgotten souls, forever shackled to this desolate paradise? For though the physical chains may have rusted away, the spiritual ones endure, preparing us for another realm where sanity itself became a prison. 2. Aradale Lunatic Asylum. Ararat, Victoria beneath the shadow of the Grampians. Aradale Lunatic Asylum looms in a sprawling sentinel of despair where the echoes of madness have never truly faded. For over 130 years, this colossal institution was not merely a hospital, but a relentless prison for the insane, a place where minds fractured, bodies withered, and over 13,000 souls drew their last, desperate breaths within its unforgiving embrace. Imagine the chilling treatments, straitjackets, electroshock therapy, lobotomies, procedures less about healing and more about control, leaving behind a legacy of agonizing fear and unfathomable pain. Every brick, every shadowed corridor is saturated with their anguish, a spectral residue that refuses to dissipate. Visitors speak of the unbearable heaviness in the air, a crushing weight that presses down, particularly in the former female wards. The distinct, sickly sweet scent of old disinfectant, or perhaps something far older, far more unsettling, clings to the air, mingling with the pervasive smell of dust and decay. Sudden, bone-chilling cold spots manifest from nowhere. Whispers slither through empty rooms, and the faint, unsettling sound of distant or maniacal laughter, or the soft, mournful sobs of a forgotten patient, drifts from unseen corners. Many report feeling invisible hands brush against their skin, or a sudden, forceful push when no one is near, as if a desperate spirit is trying to make its presence known, to finally break free. To walk the halls of Aradale is not merely to observe history. It is to immerse oneself in a raw, palpable terror. It is to confront the deepest, most primal fears of the human mind. To witness the lingering agony of those who were trapped not only within these walls, but within their own shattered realities. And as you leave, with the cold grip of its history still clinging to your bones, you cannot help but wonder if a piece of your own sanity hasn't been quietly claimed by the asylum's unyielding grasp, preparing you for the chilling intimacy of the final the most haunted domain. 1. Monte Cristo. Homestead, Junee, New South Wales, perched atop a lonely hill. Monte Cristo Homestead casts a long, foreboding shadow over Junee, a grand Victorian mansion whose every creaking floorboard and peeling wallpaper tells a tale of unbearable sorrow and unspeakable tragedy. This is not merely an old house, it is a living tomb, a repository of spectral anguish where the Crawley family's cursed legacy plays out on an eternal loop. For over a century, a litany of dark events has unfolded within its walls: a small child tumbling fatally down the grand staircase, a maid tragically pushed to her death from a balcony, a stable boy consumed by flames in his sleep. Each death, a fresh scar on the Homestead soul, binding its victims to its decaying embrace forever. Step inside, and the air itself thickens, heavy with the weight of unseen eyes. A pervasive, unnatural chill clings to certain rooms, refusing to be warmed, even by the brightest sun. Visitors often recount the disembodied sound of tiny footsteps pattering down the elegant staircase, a heartbreaking echo of the child's last moments. From the shadows, faint, sorrowful cries of an infant might emerge, only to vanish into the oppressive silence. But it is the physical encounters that truly fray the nerves, the unsettling sensation of an invisible hand brushing against one's arm, a sudden tug on clothing, or the distinct feeling of being watched from the darkest corners. Doors notoriously slam shut without a breeze, lights flicker with an unnatural rhythm, and the terrifying impression of a spectral presence materializing at the foot of one's bed has left many a brave soul fleeing in terror. The spirits here are not merely residual, they are active, desperate, and utterly unwilling to depart. Monte Cristo is not merely a house, it is a vortex of unquiet souls, each bound by a tragic fate, eternally replaying their final, agonizing moments for any who dare to intrude. It is a place where the veil between worlds is thin, almost translucent, and the dead demand to be remembered. And even when dawn breaks, casting its golden light over the surrounding hills, can you truly be sure you've left the whispers of Monte Cristo behind?